All right, everyone, welcome to a video that's really just kind of about the status of where FIFA Ultimate Team is at. We're going to dive into some of the issues that have been frustrating players kind of the whole year. Obviously, it's team of the season time, which means it's about to go into summer promos where they're going to try to do everything possible to make EA Sports FC kind of just get their final little cash grab and try to hype us up for the next game. And, basically every single year it works. It gets people hyped up and ready to go. But what I would like to see is just a more inclusive game for the full year. This mode is really supposed to be the crown jewel of EA Sports FC. Instead, it's become, this greedy, lifeless, repetitive mess. So really hoping that, we can kind of just bring some more attention to all of the problems. We have things like unbalanced gameplay. Like literally right now, just to let me focus on my thoughts in this video, I'm playing literally squad battles on semi-pro because it's just going to be boring. And I'm not going to be able to lock in like I would need to for a Rivals game as I'm trying to speak to you. But, Ultimate Team FC isn't just flawed. It's not like it's borderline unplayable at this point. If EA doesn't make a serious change with FC26, this franchise might start to really fall off more than it already has. With games like Rematch coming out and things of that nature, soccer-esque games that have the potential, if done properly, to compete. There's games like Goals, and all kinds of things like that trying to jump into this space. But let's really just start down with gameplay. Like I said, I'm just playing some squad battles here in the background. Because if you ever do manage to build a halfway decent squad, the minute you hop into gameplay, it becomes clear that Ultimate Team isn't always about skill. It's about exploiting broken mechanics. Dribbling is stiff sometimes, clunky and unresponsive. The players can feel like they're dragging a trailer behind them unless they have maxed out stats. And the defending, why even bother trying half of the time? Because the AI defending almost plays better than a lot of users do. Tactics are a huge thing, and the meta is always changing around the sense of the formations you want to use and things like that. But if you're not using those meta formations and tactics, you're just throwing some games away that would easily be winnable if you just switched into the meta tactics. Like for me, for example, I love playing the 4-3-3-4, so you'll see me play that an insane amount going forward. I just like what it has to offer. I don't know necessarily that it's a meta formation. There's plenty of times where I feel like I just get outclassed tactically on the field, where I wish they would make just it all a little more balanced around, so you can basically play whatever formation you want, or make it so that there's at least, a couple meta formations, not just one. I think would be great stuff. The next thing to talk about is goalkeepers. I have not found a goalkeeper that I enjoy this entire year. I have a special icon, Van de Sar, in my team right now. He's been in my team for a while. I still don't think I love him or anything like that. I've just had him and he's an icon, so we've just been rolling with it to keep things going because typically, we do like Van der Sar's playing ability. But I don't know. It's just something about, I feel like I could have a bronze in there. I feel like I could have a Van de Sar in there. It's not going to make a difference whatsoever to who's playing. The gameplay doesn't reward for football IQ or creativity. It rewards abuse. So abuse of these overpowered tactics, mechanics, play styles. It's just a mess this year, I feel like, when it comes to gameplay. It's one of the years where I feel like I've played the least amount of gameplay, at least from an online perspective. But there were, probably since Team of the Year to start a Team of the Season, I didn't really play the game at all online. I hopped on a little bit to open some packs and things, but I really wasn't grinding. I wasn't playing the menus. My focus was just elsewhere. So it gets very, very frustrating playing this because this is the game I want to be playing the most. But so let's hop into just a little bit more of, some side issues there away from gameplay. Now, microtransactions. This is what EA cares about, which it's no surprise there. Their business, their goal is to make money. But sometimes it almost feels like if you're not spending money, you're not competing. You know, we have all these evolutions and things this year that make cards good to a limit. We also have an array of insanely cheap cards, but if you want the high-end cards, if you're not having good pack luck, you're to have to load in money to buy FC points to rip packs. You know, they hype up promo after promo. We had Future Stars. We've had Team of the Year, Fantasy FC. Now we're in Team of the Season. But you're really not packing anything unless you drop that real money. You know, there's a few pulls you can get here and there. But, like, the sheer amount of packs I've opened to get my decent squad, I wouldn't say my squad is in the top 10% even of squads. And I've been grinding an insane amount. But so when you do decide to drop real money, it's like it's almost not worth it. I've seen countless videos of different streamers just ripping packs, and you know what happens? They're wasting an insane amount of money, and they maybe have one good pull. You're basically just ripping the packs to get fodder to do SBCs to gamble again. Is kind of the vicious cycle that you get stuck in. And that is one of the most fun things, is being able to do the gamble SBCs for me. But I'm at a point I have to spend an ungodly amount of time grinding the menus, which is almost infinite, I would say, at this point. But it's very, like, you're not going to hit anything crazy out of the grind, really. You're just grinding it to just keep the cards funneling forward. And we're getting into squad battles halftime here, just blowing them out of the water. But so, there's not even excitement anymore when it comes to opening packs, because I'm opening so many that the feeling's kind of ruined for me currently, because when I see a blue, I get my hopes up, but then time after time, it's almost like we're packing nothing. You know, I was lucky enough to pack Conte today. Feels great. Have used him in this game. Feels excellent. Playing offline, though, so it's hard to judge if he's going to be great going online. Based on his price tag, though, where he's still over 1 million coins, probably going to be a good addition for the foreseeable future into my team. And this Eusebio, obviously it's Eusebio, so he's going to ball. But I think going forward into this next weekend league, I'm going to have to make some changes there, potentially. But back to the topics we were talking about. At the core of this, FIFA 25 is in a really bad spot. You know, we always get excited for the next year. A new Ultimate Team season supposedly used to mean new ideas, new content, new mechanics, new ways to play. But now it's just the same recycled content with a different coat of paint. You know, it's the same promos, the same menus, the same broken gameplay. EA basically has, I feel like, limited their own creativity with just how lackluster the content has been. Now, what's interesting is what is going to happen going forward, because I said, like, we have some potential big games breaking onto the scene that potentially will mess with EA's bottom line. And I think if we can actually get a game that has some backbone behind it, there's a chance that EA will actually shake things up quite a bit. Because, you know, us players, we want something fresh. We're tired of being milked for what feels like spending money on FIFA points, and we get the same old product. If FC26 doesn't offer something radically different, people may start to walk away for good. Because I know this year, when I walked away, it felt like there was a good drop-off in the amount of players, a lot of the streamers I was watching. It's just not in a good place overall. And we'll see what it feels like at the beginning of the next game, because if something doesn't change, I think going forward, I might have to look for another main game to play. You know, EA, if you're listening, probably not on my little tiny channel, but Ultimate Team has turned into something that's not as fun as it used to be. It almost feels like a chore, and that's not how a game should feel at all. You know, FC26 needs to bring back good gameplay. It needs to stop focusing on pushing people into the store and into the paid evolution section. You know, I think evolutions are great, but they need to rework it to make it better. And that doesn't mean just making every single evolution free. I understand wanting to be able to generate some profit from there, but I think we just have to do a better job setting them up for success. You know, we have so many cards that look the same now due to evolutions, which is good for team building. But when you take them into gameplay and it's just terrible, it's not great. You know, the community's tired. We've been patient. We've supported the franchise for years. I feel like we almost need to go with less promos going forward. You know, just try and focus on, you know, the core aspects of the game mode. Because if FC26 is more of the same, we won't just lose players. We're also going to lose some of that legacy. You know, if you guys made it this far in the video, I appreciate you for watching. You know, I just have this squad battles game going on in the background. Like I said, nothing cool. But just let me know if you feel the same way. Let me know if you think if there's things that you actually do like about FC26, that you feel like are things that are good and can become staples of the franchise. But I just feel like there's so much wrong with the product. There's so much wrong with the game that we just need some sort of change. And I can't expect it to happen overnight. You know, streamers, content creators, people of this have been trying to get EA to listen for a really long time now. And it just takes us as a community to kind of just keep banding together to try to keep the pressure on them. Because at the end of the day, it's not like they're just going to disappear overnight. But I think it has the potential to be, you know, one of the best video game series of all time. But we just haven't been getting the change we needed. So here's to hoping FC26 isn't just a name change. We need a new revolution. But thanks for watching. Peace.